Black Myth Wukong is an unbelievable great success, and it proves one thing, that single player games are not out the window, which AAA really hopes that they are going to be, so they can replace everything with live service microtransaction hellscape type of things. Well, admittedly, Baldur's Gate 3 already proved that single player games are not even remotely out the window.
It was not long ago that I talked about the immense success of Black Myth Wukong, a highly anticipated game, one that has broken all kinds of records. I talked about its all-time peak concurrent player number of 2,415,714 players, which is just
The last time I saw this, I thought it was at 2.36 million. So, a small increase. Nice.
insane for a single-player game, a non-live service title. I mean, that is such good results that Black Myth Wukong is right now number 2 as far as all-time peak concurrent players records of all time on Steam, being out Power World, Counter-Strike, Lost Ark, Dota, Cyberpunk, Elden Ring, you name it, some juggernauts that Black
Well, it sadly didn't break PUBG at the end of the day. I was hoping that it could, and well, there was a chance that it maybe could come closer to 3 million, but this is obviously as impressive as it gets anyway.
Myth Wukong, a new IP at that, just kind of overtook with just very little time after launch. General sentiments from players has been overall positive, quite positive in fact. The review score on Steam is still sitting at overwhelmingly positive with almost 400,000.
96% is insane, by the way, okay? Anything above 95 is already huge. But yeah, and it turns out, by the way, I think China is in the Steam charts calculations, because China does have their official Steam version, but well, there are restrictions. There's a lot of different things going on there. Initially, I wasn't sure, but I think this number is with China in mind from the China Steam. China Steam only is a thing since 2021 or something like that, I think. And yeah, I was not sure if it initially China counts towards this, but it seems like it does.
Reviews, 96% of folks who played this game rated positive, gave it a thumbs up, and sales for this game within 3 days reached 10 million copies worldwide. I mean, any AAA developer.
How fast was this game made also? It wasn't 10 years, it wasn't even 5 years. It was less than 5 years. And it wasn't made by a team of 3 billion people. And then you have on the opposite side of the coin something like Concord that took like close to 10 years to make, 7, 8, 9 years, something like that. And it sold 700 copies. Why? Because it was a woke shitty mess. And look at this, not woke. And it sells. Wow, who would have expected this? It's almost like you make something that people want, something that people will like, and don't prioritize stupid messaging and political biases. You can actually make a lot of money.
Would be ecstatic at these results. Any AAA publisher would absolutely love to experience results like these. $600 million.
No. That's actually not true. Hogwarts Legacy, when it came out, it sold also a lot, but at the end of the day, who actually owned Hogwarts Legacy? I have forgotten at this point. Warner Brothers Gaming, I think? They were like, yeah, this was a success, but now everything else that we have done looks shittier, and next year it's going to be hard to get our bonuses because we're probably not going to make something as big as Hogwarts Legacy, so it's bad for business. AAA is not gonna look sadly at this and be like, oh yeah, we need to make more games like this. No, they're gonna double down, triple down, quadruple down, and keep making live service slop with the intent of making line go up, but not like this, but like this, very slowly.
Roughly in revenue for this game. So this game's definitely already made its money back and then some. Now, I've talked before about how the majority of these sales definitely do come from China. This can be seen if you look at.
Yeah, this is, if Steam works in China the proper way and accounts for things, then this is probably one of the few games that China allows them to buy.
The reviews here and how the majority of the reviews, if you look at languages, are not in English. So a lot of Chinese players went out of their way to leave a
The
review.
hell?
And this ratio kind of indicates that most players who bought this game were from China. But that's not to say that it did paltry numbers, outside of
My
China.
headset just decided to
Based
commit
on
seppuku.
statistics
That is
and
very
analytics and data, there's an estimate that roughly 80% of total sales were from China. But outside of China,
And we're back. I can hear Yong's beautiful but equally disgusting voice at the same time. What a time to be alive.
when you consider 10 million in sales, that still means that about 2 million copies were sold globally outside of China. And within China, we're roughly looking at 8 million copies.
2 million copies is still a lot, honestly.
Not surprising at all, given.
But again, this is why everyone wants to get in China. Because the moment you get in China and you have even a meagerly decent product to sell, all the Chinese people are going to buy it. Because, well, chances are whatever they're buying is currently either giving them cancer or flat out defective. So the moment there is a chance for the Chinese audiences to actually acquire a product that's fine and quality, they're gonna buy it. And since there's a lot of Chinese people, they're gonna buy it a lot. Even the minor sales in China are equivalent to high sales in other countries. That's the crazy part.
That its journey to the West, given it's freaking the Monkey King, basically the most iconic mythological figure in China.
Listen, China's there's so much Monkey King stuff in China that no one actually cares. Okay, that's the brutal reality. Okay, for us, the Wukong sounds exclusive, interesting, and mythical, but for China, it's just a normal thing. It's not actually that insane.
So of course this is going to draw a lot of attention. And so yeah, a lot of positivity generally surrounding how the game is performing. Now, another entity who is extremely happy about these results is Sony. Keep in mind that this game launched on PC, but also on PlayStation 5 with no Xbox release in sight yet. They are working on it, but there are technical elements that they have to kind of go through and hurdles that they have to
For Xbox.
overcome in order for that game to come out on Xbox. But Sony's been enjoying.
That is such a bad sell for Xbox. Hey, this game that runs on PlayStation? Yeah, Xbox can't handle it. Man, the Xbox fanboys are probably on suicide watch.
So some of the after effects, the positive after effects of Black Myth Wukong doing so well in China. So right here, Daniel Ahmad posted, Wukong turned profitable on its first day and earned more than $450 million in gross revenue over its first 3 days, according to Nico Partners analyst Daniel Ahmad. So he's quoting himself here. Sony Group Core ran a sales promotion for its PlayStation 5 in China for the week around Wukong's launch and saw stores sell out of the console. That's right. Black Myth Wukong performed so well in China that they're selling out of PlayStation 5s almost like it's basically launch day. It's kind of...
I'm not sure there's a lot of things you can do on PlayStation 5 in China, if I'm completely honest. Probably even less on Xbox.
Insane. There's another individual going by Daniel Camilo, who is sort of a publishing and gaming consultant in China, who also corroborated this, saying that big surge in PS5 sales in China due to the launch of Black Myth Wukong. We're witnessing a contagious wave of consumers who don't usually care about gaming suddenly being overwhelmed with all the exposure the game is having in China and buying new consoles. With the game not launching on Xbox, PlayStation kind of got a big boost, and their market share in China just kind of grew. And this is kind of how you tap in.
Can we even see PlayStation versus Xbox China sales? Let's see if we can actually do it. So let's see. China manufacturer. Nintendo is winning with 4 million units sold. I have no idea about the time span of this. Sony is second with 3.5 million units. And Xbox is a whopping, where are all of our games, 1.2 million units sold in China. I'm assuming this is overall data or something like that. But yeah, Sony keeps on winning. And again, I will remind everyone, 2 years ago, we made an analysis of the, PlayStation versus Xbox battle and how's it going. And, well, I said this. It's not looking good for Xbox in the future because PlayStation has, first of all, a way huger, not even closely comparable foothold in the Japanese market, and so also it seems like it's in the Chinese market. So there's a reason why Xbox is giving up on exclusivity and whatnot, because, well, they have pretty much lost to Sony at this point.
Into regions where your console typically doesn't sell very well, you make a game that particular country or that particular region.
And Sony, I just said Sony, good. Please do not send three heat-seeking missiles in my house's general direction.
Just cannot resist because of what it has to offer and the appeal that it has for the people and the denizens of that particular region. And then beyond that, Daniel Camilo posted another tweet further kind of elaborating on the situation, saying that PS5 stock is selling out in China and talking about how it is now clear that sales are extraordinarily high, driven by Wukong. And I mean, this is getting so out of hand when it comes to the sales of PlayStation consoles that we are seeing.
So, if you're smart, you probably understood with the context that I added. Yes, they're selling out, but it's not like consoles and whatnot are a huge deal in China to begin with. So, their stock is kinda limited. These consoles selling out does not mean, oh my god, China is now literally a PlayStation vassal. No. The supply is limited because gaming consoles are not that big of a thing in China in general.
Scalping and reselling of the console. Scalpers have gotten wind of the fact that PS5s are going out of stock. People
knowing China, they're going to probably try and sell fake PS5s also. It's going to be great.
Want to get these consoles just to play Black Myth Wukong because of the word of mouth that's spreading about their iconic mythological entity kind of receiving this AAA treatment that is garnering a lot of praise from players.
He's literally making this up. Yang is currently acting like the whole of China revolves around the tale of Wukong at this point. That the Monkey King is literally the highest deity in China. Deity.
And so it is a whole situation. I mean, for Sony, this is fantastic news.
Let's actually Google that. China's most popular deity. How do you spell that? Most popular gods and goddesses amongst of ancient. Now, ancient China is not good. Who is the most popular god in China? The god of wealth. Well, ain't that surprising? Chaishen, the god of wealth. Okay. Who is China's Magon? Sangji. I think that's how you pronounce it. Okay. Who is the national god of China? Tian and Shangji. Highest deity or simply deity. There we go. Again, and Yang is acting like Wukong is literally heaven and earth.
And keep in mind that people buying PlayStation 5s in China means that they're exposed to the entire PlayStation ecosystem, which means they might go into the PlayStation Store, look at the games available there, and check out some other stuff aside from Black Myth Wukong. So that might kind of ripple into other areas of PlayStation and PlayStation hardware and software sales that might greatly boost revenue for a platform that's been doing pretty well for itself. Though Daniel did emphasize that because a lot of the PS5 consoles sold in China are imported models from Japan and Hong Kong, it's going to be hard to keep track of exactly how many units were sold in China because obviously like Japan models that are sold are going to be potentially counted as units sold in Japan, and you know, it's just the data of that might get a little murky. It's only in more recent months that PlayStation 5 has licensed national SKUs.
Wait, I literally have no idea what Yang just said. If we're talking about China, then units sold in Japan don't affect China. Even if you buy them in Japan, import it to China, it's still a unit sold in China. It's gonna go under that no matter what.
that have managed to gradually absorb a considerable piece of the pie that was traditionally taken by import models.
The only argument that you can make here is the fact that they are not accounted units because they are not directly purchased from Sony. But why would that be the case? No idea. No clue whatsoever. Young's just making stuff up.
So you've got a mix of models that are imported and others that are national. And so data might be a little murky, but it is just very clear that Black Myth Wukong is a sensation in China, and it's expanding not just console gaming in the form of PlayStation 5, but also PC gaming in a way that is explosive and unprecedented for a country that, a lot of the gaming that they do, tends to be mobile gaming and the like. It's not just PlayStation 5s that are selling out, but PC components, all of that stuff is becoming more and more difficult to find. All of that stuff is receiving a huge surge in sales. Daniel Ahmad noted this by saying not just PS5, but also GPUs, laptops, and other gaming hardware too, to the point that sellers online have even added "can play Black Myth Wukong" to item descriptions. Black Myth Wukong is being used as a selling point for hardware because
Oh, yeah, obviously. It's a big deal that a lot of people are talking about, yeah.
the demand for
I'm literally gonna title this video Black Myth Wukong because that gets clicks, Young. Welcome to not communism.
or the game and means to play that game has become so high. This is kind of, I think it's going to shift the landscape of how publishers perceive the Chinese market as a whole. It really opens eyes to the fact that there are a lot of people in China, and a lot of those people do game.
Bro's now speaking like he's treading new ground. Literally makes up random crap. aka Wukong is the most giant and best deity in China and everyone only cares about it. And now he's like, oh my god, these sales, now everyone in the West will understand that the Chinese market is important. Everyone already knows that, Young, you absolute numbskull. Ignorance is truly bliss, boys.
Just a matter of kind of making the right game for that audience. And again, a lot of the perception is that they mostly play mobile games, and that still holds true. Most of what they'll play is mobile games. Those games will generate the most sales because of the microtransactions and the fact that everyone basically has smartphones and the like. But it goes to highlight that those kinds of single-player AAA games that don't have microtransactions, that are just, games you buy with one transaction and you get to keep forever, that stuff is also viable, seeing like 8 million, and I'm sure...
Yeah, I'm sure that's also... No one in China probably had ever thought about buying a product once and not paying microtransactions for it was a good idea, surely.
Sure, it's still growing. And like units being sold in China, that's gonna, I think, change a lot of perceptions surrounding how publishers want to appeal to the Chinese market, and realizing that there is a lot of untapped potential to sell more hardware and software. I think PlayStation's definitely gonna plan to aim for more exclusive releases for games that are made from Chinese studios who are trying to appeal to a lot of Chinese gamers, but also making those games appealing enough for people outside of China. Because Black Myth Wukong, it really did garner a whole lot of global attention because of just the fact that it looked really freaking good. And the final game turned out pretty good overall. Not perfect, but, certainly good enough for a first entry into a new IP from a game studio that's only made like 3 games before that wasn't at this scale of AAA. And the fact that this game couldn't release on Xbox at this critical juncture where Black Myth Wukong has all of this attention and they're selling out of, PlayStations and PC components, I think that's a huge detriment for Xbox to kind of tap into the Chinese market. Because with all those other things sold out, Xbox could have received a boost in sales in China as well. We've got somebody here who kind of explained why the game hasn't come out on Xbox yet. Apparently, he spoke to a number of sources at Gamescom.
This looks French. I don't trust it.
Who relayed that there have just been technical issues with trying to get the game working on Xbox due to like memory leaks and situations like that. That has...
Oh no, Xbox keeps getting slaughtered. Well, it is what it is, Xbox fanboys. That's why you never be a fanboy of anything. Anyway, I'm tired of listening to Young rediscover the wheel. Anyway,
tuned right
stay
here on
tuned,
Young.
Yeah.
I'll see you guys next
Young
time.
out. Woo!
Young out.
Beautiful. What can I say?